A long time ago, in a theme park far, far away. Park Wars! Da, 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 da. I don't even know where I'm going with this. All right, Dragon. Star Wars, Galactic Starcruiser. We're an Imagineering channel. We talk about the parks, don't we?
From time to time.
So this is definitely something that's kind of like it's been on a lot of people's radars, and I have been following it. But this is the first time I think we've ever really talked about it on the channel, and I think it's very important that we do so because this thing has been a roller coaster to follow. Beowulf says time to spill the Star Wars tea.
The blue tea.
Yeah, the blue tea, indeed. So, Dragon, I'm going to throw it to you first because I have a lot of thoughts on this thing, but just overall, knowing what you know, basically, folks, we're going to go through this. We're definitely going to talk about what the experience entails, but from a more big picture point of view, I kind of want to dissect sort of the folly that this thing has been under, from the bad marketing to the fact that a lot of the interactive elements were originally going to go into Galaxy's Edge. Obviously, we will talk about the price point because I feel like that is like the big talking point here, no matter how good the experience is. So, Dragon, with that in mind, what do you have to say, sir? What are your overall thoughts and feelings doing a deep dive into the Galactic Starcruiser?
Yes. So basically, our Star Wars hotel, as it were, aka the Hellion Star Cruiser. It's Here's the thing. This is a concept that is like a Star Wars fan's dream come true in concept. But I kind of tell you, like looking back on this, I remember hearing this again. The clip I sent you is probably the most I knew about this thing. I heard somebody who went in, JC, who runs the Scum and Villainy Cantina in Los Angeles. He had been able. Kevin Smith did something really nice, and he sent them there because he's a huge Star Wars fan. He sent them there, and he kind of reported in. He's always had pointed opinions about Galaxy's Edge and everything, given that he himself runs an unofficial, proper cantina on the regular.
I am sure. I no doubt his cantina is way better than the cantina they have.
I mean, I haven't been there personally. I'm just looking at the thing. Just when they go there live, it looks amazing.
Yeah, and I am sure they have better drinks. I am completely sure of that.
So regardless, plus they have like cool names for them and stuff too. Like there's like a Wakanda.
Well, so does Oga's Cantina, but Oga's Cantina basically the drinks are all fucking sugar water.
But I'm saying they have like George Lucas's brand of wine and stuff, and it's like,
that's
really cool. It's really cool stuff. Anyway, so I gotta tell you, looking back on things, and Galaxy's Edge now, we've had some time away from it and everything, just kind of like seeing it kind of grow ever since we were kind of there on ground level, and then speculating all the things you could do with Batu and everything in our various holiday special pitches and so on and so forth. I think this just ultimately continues to be the issue of setting of. Basically, it's an issue of the setting in which it's like that. If Disney didn't trap themselves with all the park stuff and this being in the sequel trilogy, you have all this, would be like perfect world building for like a Mando timeline in which you have like the perfect distance away from the original trilogy and where we're going, and it's like literally the restructuring of things and the rebranding of things. And it's like, had they known, like, let's bet it all on let's go to Canto Bight and bet it all on the sequel trilogy. Versus like, hey, let's wait and see where it goes. Hey, Mando presents a great opportunity here. No, we have to get it all in motion ahead of time because we've got to have money, space money. We got to have all the space money. So
got to get that Calaxium, bro.
Because exactly. So I mean, ultimately, it's like if they went with the Mando side of things here, I'm not just trying to throw anything under the bus here. It just seems to make sense to me if we went with kind of the Mando setting and things, 5 years away from the original, you have everything but Darth Vader. That's like the only thing you don't have. I mean, literally now we have everything and new horizons to kind of to go to and explore. I mean, watching the videos and the ride footage, well, not the ride footage, but kind of the hotel tour footage, I guess. Reminds me of I told you about this show Avenue 5 that was on HBO, didn't I? With Hugh Laurie.
You probably have, yeah. You tell me about a lot of shows. You know my brain has trouble maintaining information.
Well, point being, that show is basically it's set in the future, and it's like a cruise in space that Hugh Laurie is the captain of. So it's very much kind
So
of
it's pretty much Galactic Starcruiser.
yeah, obviously more of a satirical, irreverent kind of.
I am sure that Hugh Laurie's character is not as horrifying and nightmare fuel inducing as the captain of this ship.
Visually no.
Visually no.
Visually no. By implication, just given what they reveal about that character, kind of scary.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway, so I mean, ultimately, with how honestly, when I just look at this thing, is what you presented with me, just kind of the overall, it's like how it's looking upon being opened up and like the marketing and everything, just the whole gist of this thing. Ultimately, with how involved this really is. It feels oddly tailor-made for Star Trek, yet not Star Wars.
Yes, that's Dragon. It feels like the Star Trek experience at Vegas. Do you have any familiarity with what that was?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there. Oh, okay, nice.
I mean, I wasn't there for a long time, but I visited there once. So that's what I'm saying. So it's
that's what it feels like. This feels like something that would be in Vegas.
That's what I'm saying. Like my grandmother, who adores Star Trek, she would love this sort of thing if it was Star Trek. And I mean, I would love it if they were like the Orville, be something like, it's very casual and very loungy. And it's like, yeah, this is not really for kids, but it's swanky as all get out.
Yeah.
Really, but if you're trying to be Star Wars, it just, I mean, I remember when we were watching, the Mando episode of Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, we had the Star Liner, which is basically kind of like the transport, not the full swanky cruiser hotel setup. It was like, that to me would intrigue me far more than this, honestly. Like you get to go from point A to point B and you check in your bags and everything. Like that to me is awesome.
You can't charge like $6,000 plus your firstborn child.
I heard
if it's a dumpy looking ship. That's the problem.
I heard it was 5,000, but is
apparently there's a blood sacrifice somewhere in there too.
Yep, and they have like a dowry for whatever they have. It's the whole. That's what I'm saying. It ultimately just feels like wouldn't it be much cooler if like you took a Star Liner to go to like a hangar with all the Star Wars ships and they were like attractions just laid out somewhere? Wouldn't that?
Yeah, I could see that. Like,
that's what I dig, man. You get to go on the Razor Crest before it was blown up. So that's where I'm at on this. I'm not. I mean, in concept, I was like, yeah, this sounds pretty cool. I'm like, really? That's it? So.
All right. Yeah, for me, I definitely think the Galactic Starcruiser Dragon, I'm just going to call it like I see it, and other people have been saying this too. I'm not the first person to point this out. The Galactic Starcruiser is Canto Bight in real life.
I'm pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's like as the world, like we got the Russia situation, COVID is still a thing. There's so many things going on in the world right now, and Disney decides to open this thing that's based on the price point. Dragon, I think it's fair to say this is the first Disney thing that is like, it's got mass market appeal. It's not just something for the rich, swanky folks. It's something that everyone would potentially want to do. And it is just completely pricing out everyone but the upper class. I mean, it is like, to me, the price point for this thing is straight up Orwellian. Pun intended. So we'll get into it. We're going to kind of take this in a trilogy format, folks. I'm not sure how well this is going to work out, but we're going to kind of got a little storyline that we're going to kind of go through here.
It's kind of a 50-50 shot, so just bear with us.
We'll see. So with that in mind, let's get to episode 1, A Galaxy Divided. All right, Dragon. So this is where I want to kind of talk about how Galactic Starcruiser is, unfortunately, for my money, it's more or less built on literally on the shoulders of the broken promises of Galaxy's Edge. What sounds like a very dramatic statement, but do you agree with it?
I mean, my read on this is that this just seems to be a basically kind of like an add-on to Galaxy's Edge. That's purely what it is. It's like, hey, get the bonus pack for your Galaxy's Edge experience. This is like more Star Wars. You can sleep in Galaxy's Edge. What I mean, though, is that when Galaxy's Edge was first being pitched around, it was way different than the actual land we ended up getting. As far as
I mean, first of all, I am very surprised that even now there's not been much of an attempt in Galaxy's Edge to like throw new characters into the mix, have droids walking around. I know they have the droid technology. I literally saw it in person when they were testing it out in Tomorrowland. I don't know. It just seems like Galaxy's Edge right now is frankly just kind of stagnant, which is honestly like kind of disturbing for a land that was literally built to be this super interactive kind of LARP playground. Do you know about just how much was cut out from the actual LARPing elements?
You mean for this or just in Galaxy's Edge?
No, this has LARPing elements galore. This is all the LARPing elements. I mean for Galaxy's Edge, like what we were going to get.
Well, I remember
just in the general package.
Well, mind you, I assumed we had gotten that with the general package. I just thought we don't really talk about that sort of stuff, but I thought it was like, hey, yeah, they. I remember there was like talk of missions and stuff, and like the stormtroopers accost you, and they ask you stuff. I know they kept the stormtrooper element, but I assume like you still like side quests and stuff in Galaxy. Did that not happen?
No, the side quests and stuff. I mean, it's like as far as I know, there's like Ray will send kids on like scavenger hunts and stuff. That's about it. It's nothing that's going to be engaging for
so
the
none of that happened.
There's no reputation system. There's definitely a reputation system in Galactic Starcruiser that we'll get into.
Well, remind me, when did Galaxy's Edge launch, by the way? Like when did that happen?
I want to say it was oh God, you're putting me on the spot here because ever since 2020, the years have just been blending together.
That's what I'm trying to pinpoint. Like if it were
Dragon, it was either 2019 or 2018. I want to say it was 2018.
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure it was 2018, and then Rise of the Resistance opened in 2019. I could be a little bit wrong on that.
You see where I'm going with this, though. It just seemed my initial instinct would be, okay, perhaps the pandemic kind of caused them like, well, we can't really have the crowds to really necessitate all the story stuff we want to do anymore. But then again, if it were earlier, then that's really not much of an excuse.
But it's Chapek, Dragon, so it's a money thing. It's Chapek.
If Chapek had a mustache, he would become that meme. if Chapek had a mustache.
You know the image that I am associating with Chapek right now? Pinhead Larry from that random SpongeBob gag. Who you calling Pinhead?
Yeah, and the whole with the tooth and everything. Yep. I want to be Dirty Dan anyway. So,
but again, folks, I will throw out my sick idea that this is like real
again with the Eisner.
Yes. This is like my real life fanfic right here. I want Eisner to stage a Save Disney coup, get Chapek the fuck out of there. And then literally come back into office, into the CEO position, and have like the most damn epic comeback story in the history of modern business. See, I want that to happen so bad. I know it's not going to, but
here's my unachievable fantasy that is far more achievable than yours, sir. Let me tell you this. I just want people to write like a little affirmation note or like a little thank you note of some kind. More of like a an appreciation card, if anything, just to like Bob Iger, we miss you. You're the better Bob. Please come back. Like we loved you, Bob. And basically, I want any of the naysayers of Bob Iger ever.
Totally.
Just write a little letter just saying we're sorry. We got.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Bob Iger fan, but he's certainly better than Chapek. Anyway,
I mean, I've always had a fondness for Iger, man. But anyway.
I think he was definitely more stable than Eisner at his worst, but he was definitely less ambitious than Eisner at his best.
I mean, maybe, but Iger was smart though, man. I really appreciate
he was.
He made the smart calls and he cared. At least he gave the impression that he cared about a lot of the stuff that he did do. I mean, whether that followed through or not, but he cared in the first place, and it did got the company far at the very least. Well, now. We're getting off topic. Just to refocus back to Star Wars.
So point being, Dragon, when Galaxy's Edge first opened, obviously it didn't even have Rise of the Resistance yet. I was there when Rise of the Resistance was not open, and yeah, it was definitely it was a fun experience as far as like the stormtroopers were about the most engaging thing with it, but even then it was just kind of like, it wasn't anything that you could like form a whole storyline out of. It's like they might just walk up to you and be like, hey, What are you doing? That's about it, really. That's pretty much the extent of it.
I mean, in regards to the price point, so
Yes.
Disney, no secret, known for charging exorbitant amounts of money, especially every year that goes by. It's like it keeps going up and up and up. You think, well, it's going to go down a year. Never.
And meanwhile, the quality keeps going down and down and down, in my opinion.
Which is not good, just given how the price is. And we got to switch that a little bit. Anyway, so here's the thing for me. Ultimately, because we spoke a little bit the Scum and Villainy Canteen, it just feels ultimately what we're presenting with the Galactic Cruiser is ridiculous. Like, we're going to charge $5,000 basically so you can sleep at Galaxy's Edge, when in reality it's like, well,
I mean,
I
think it's more than that. I think it's more so like, yeah, the sleeping in it, definitely, but I really think the price point is like basically, as I said, Dragon, the price point is literally built on the shoulders of the interactive LARPing stuff that was super ambitious for the original pitch of Galaxy's Edge that just entirely got cut.
Well, what I was about to say, Tiki, is that it feels like I think it says something when you could save money by just going to Galaxy's Edge, or if you want the full experience, I guess you're in the California side of things, Galaxy's Edge and the Scum and Villainy Canteen. If you want the max experience, the bare minimum, you want the inferior cantina, go to Galaxy's Edge.
I will say though, if you're going to, that's going to be a pain in the ass to get out to from Disneyland.
Fair enough. My point is $5,000 we're talking about, man. Probably $5,000 plus more.
And it's like, I would probably, you'd probably want to do a Scum and Villainy Cantina trip like after a Universal Day, maybe.
It doesn't feel like you're paying for much besides a bed and staying in Galaxy's Edge essentially for 2
No, you're literally paying for the character interactions. That to me is the most tantalizing part of it.
Which doesn't, honestly, the character interactions that we get from what I've seen in this thing don't really seem like much. It's like not even like the best of Star Wars. It's just, or your setting for Star Wars again, because it feels again a little bit more Star Trekky than it is. Like, so we're just hanging out on the bridge, like the part that really didn't jazz everyone out of their minds in The Last Jedi. We're all just sitting on the ship in a slow speed chase, pretty much. And it's like, really, this is what, and these are the interactions we're gonna have, like a bunch of Holdos practically. I mean, it's not that bad, but I mean, still.
God.
I mean, that's what it feels like. It feels like your character interactions.
Oh man.
I mean, your character interactions don't
Dragon, you are not wrong. You are not fucking wrong, dude.
I mean, think about it, Tiki. When I watched that footage you sent me, I know it's not everything, but it's at least a decent sampling of what you're gonna get. All the good stuff's literally on the last day before you leave.
Yeah.
It's like that, and plus more of your interactions, more of a show than interaction.
Let's put a hold on talking about the actual experience, but yeah, I mean, I feel you as far as just as far as the overall. I don't know. I'm a little bit more cautiously optimistic based on some of the reviews I've heard, as far as how they integrate the LARPing elements. Like, basically, Dragon, if you do want to engage with this thing and you're not shy about jumping in and talking to the characters and establishing yourself, you can get a really cool experience out of this thing.
I know the average
for $5,000,
Yeah, the average Joe is never going to this thing. I think we can just say that already.
That's like the dystopian element of this. It's practically disturbing to me that they are crafting this thing to. I don't know. It's just another chink in the Disney armor as far as just. It's unbelievably greedy of them to. I mean, they really should, at the very least, have some of these elements in Galaxy's Edge as well. Just as far as, like, in Galaxy's Edge, there really should be stuff that we've talked about before, like, like a walk around Hondo, or, something like that, just droids wandering around. I mean, I feel like at this point, Galaxy's Edge is established enough and the hype has sort of died down and sort of the thing has kind of settled into what it is and people know what it is. And the fact that they're not doing anything with it, the fact that, if anything, they've kind of taken out stuff. I don't know, man. It's really discouraging to me. And the price point is as Beowulf I think really puts it well. He says Galactic Starcruiser is the on-disc DLC to Galaxy's Edge. And yeah, that's what it feels like. It literally feels like content that we were promised with the game that isn't in the game, but it's still there. You just got to pay a premium for it.
By the way, quick side note, just real quick, I'm just gonna like put this tangent in ellipses.
Okay.
Again, with the whole with the dystopian thing you were mentioning, the whole kind of like elitist sort of thing with the price point.
It's literally Canto Bight.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that kind of reminds me because I finished binging it because the new season's gonna drop this week. Upload on Amazon. Just saying.
Westworld too, a little bit of a Westworld vibe.
Yeah, I mean it's a far more pleasant version of Westworld. And
yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, especially with the arrival process, to me feels very.
No, I meant Upload's a lot more pleasant than Westworld, but you know.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
All right. So I think we've talked through basically the initial conflict of Galaxy's Edge Dragon. It's time to get into the dark part of this story. It's enter Sean Gambone.
By the way, we're just going to butcher this poor kid's name. By the way,
I know.
I think it's Giambrone. Last I heard, but then I don't know, like
just call him Sean.
Johnny.
All right, episode
we
2,
like this kid,
the Phantom marketing. Dragon, the marketing of this thing is honestly maybe one of the most ill-advised marketing campaigns that I have ever seen for anything, especially in the theme park industry.
Yeah, so I mean, I saw this ad for the first time when you sent me this thing. By the way, I'd never seen like this. The whole jam thing.
I was really hoping that you hadn't seen it before because I was hoping you'd get a bit of a, oh, hey, it's him.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hey, I know that guy. Yeah,
by the way, B-Wolf is asking. I'm just going to pretend he's seen this. The Jimon Hansu voice. Ooh, Dragon, who is this kid?
Yeah, so Sean, I'm just going to say Jambro. Sean Jambro is the kid from the Goldbergs. He plays Adam Goldberg, the kid who is basically the younger version of the Patton Oswalt narrator in that show, the main kid. He's been in a bunch of things, does a lot of voice work. He's on Solar Opposites. He's been on the Harley Quinn animated show. He pops up now and again. He's quite funny. Played Ron Stoppable in that terrible live-action Kim Possible movie they did on the Disney Channel. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I like this kid, and it's the fact that obviously the Goldbergs celebrate Star Wars, so the ABC synergy of it all. Yeah, I absolutely get why they put him in this, and of course the kid is brimming with just this earnest enthusiasm as he tends to do, and he brings that here, and unfortunately does not help the marketing.
Okay, I hate to say this, Dragon. I really do, because I do think he is pretty funny. Hold on. I really do think he is pretty talented with the Goldbergs. I honestly think this thing is going to be a black mark on his entire career. I think this is going to be a meme that he is going to have a hard time living past.
Now, the reason, if I understand this correct, Tiki, is that this thing got taken down because the Disney realized...
Dragon, I cannot find an official version of it. Literally the only version of it I can find has a stupid fucking Sonic the Hedgehog gif at the start of it.
So I think it's more like a logo than I don't think it moves. Does it move?
I'm pretty sure it moves. I'm pretty sure it's a little animation.
All right, well, we've got a little water, like kind of fancy GIF watermark.
Yeah.
Point being, yeah. So it sounds like the whole deal with a lot of the marketing is that they put up Disney got some perspective. Oh yeah, man, this is not great. We should get rid of this. And they did. So here's the thing. So originally, when I watched this clip, I was like, hey, I know that guy. Let's see how he's getting into Star Wars. And then it kind of sunk in. Like I was just kind of blasé about it. Like, okay, well, it's cool that he's there because I like Sean, but I looked at it again. I was like, huh. Basically, all you're showing me are hallways at a cantina, and then this guy, this weird Twilight, like barely a Twilight, not even a good-looking Twilight, with like the giant like tendril hair thing. It's just like looks really lame. Basically, your main singer attraction for entertainment on the ship, which is basically a kind of a singing Twi'lek. I believe his name Gaia, or I don't think it's G. I think it's Gaia.
It's Gaia, yeah.
Anyway, and here's the biggest flaw of this thing for me with all that is that okay. Kind of breaking a bylaw Star Wars. She's not apparently on the cruise. I keep wanting to say cruise because it's supposed to be a cruise.
It's just called a cruise. It's a cruise.
So on the cruise, she's singing she's singing her songs like she would in a cantina in Star Wars, which would be kind of in an alien language, which works. But in the trailer thing, she's just singing an English song. It's like, this does not feel like Star Wars at all. What's happening here? What is this?
You know what it feels like? It feels like the holiday special.
I mean, it's kind of like
especially the Gaia stuff.
Yeah, particularly, yeah. So yeah, here's the thing. Again, they're
you know what the most embarrassing moment with Shawnee Boy is?
What do you got?
The jump to light speed moment where he's just like, punch it.
So I mean, the Goldbergs again has a lot
I'm like, yay! Like you're doing a jump to light speed in like a screen that's not nearly as immersive as the Millennium Falcon ride you can do in the park for like $100.
Anyway, so the Goldbergs have built up a lot of Star Wars credibility, over the years. Yet, again, the problem here being there's yet no. Basically, not a lot of huge Star Wars stuff in the big marketing tool for our big Goldberg star here. It's just hallways and a Twi'lek that's singing English. It's I don't know, it's Star Wars-esque, but there's like no Star Wars to find. This is kind of a problem in your marketing. And apparently, like when you sign up for the tickets or when you bought your tickets, you got like a crappy video from some looks like kind of a star, like an alien from the Star Wars universe. And it's like, well, man, this looks like we really cheaped out for like.
So let's talk about the captain, because I feel like she is like, as much as this video with Sean is, I feel like the captain is like another piece of the marketing that just went totally astray. I mean, I don't know who the hell thought that this would be a good idea for a character design.
Yeah, I think they're going for like kind of like an Admiral Thrawn thing, but a good guy, and it just doesn't look right.
I mean, it's literally so off-putting that even for someone like me who would be into the LARPing elements and and want to engage with them, I would still be put off by interacting with this character dragon just from the visual look alone. I hate the way it looks. I really do.
I mean, Tiki, ultimately, with all the marketing, it seems to me, as we kind of saw with our previous image, the best sell for Star Wars, just period, I mean, ever since the beginning, is the concept art. And that's all you really need. And that's always been the case. And yet, well, I don't know, just with this, when we kind of pushed beyond that, it's like, yeah, this is not really instilling me with confidence.
I think I figured out what I don't like about the design. You know what it is? I think her wardrobe feels too much like a standard cast member wardrobe. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, if you're the captain, yeah, like there's no decorations on it. It's just really kind of like
right. It really feels just like, okay, she's like a Star Wars alien that happens to be a Disney cast member, and to me, that cast member aesthetic, it throws it off. It's like, you're not supposed to be in Disney World. Like, cast members should not exist in this universe. What are you doing?
Right. And again, people brings up like, oh god, the reservation video is exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, it's. But you see my point about the concept art, though. It just seems like less is kind of more with Star Wars and everything, with kind of the marketing in general. And it seems like it's like we made an effort, but we did not put any Star Wars into it, which just feels really weird, really off. And just no wonder people canceled the reservations. Like, I just paid $5,000 for something that doesn't even look like a good fan film.
And then there was also that video of the Imagineer at the doing the lightsaber training, and the lightsaber training literally looked like something you could do in like your average family fun center. It looks like a laser tag thing.
Two things. Okay, one, my expectation for like a recreational Star Wars activity on like a cruise liner, very simple, I think very achievable. Tiki, you know what it is?
What?
Laser tag. And maybe you basically have your cast members or your guys in the game who are dressed like stormtroopers that you are firing at. Very simple. Okay? You're shooting at stormtroopers or bad guys. And the point being, laser tag with blasters. I don't know how much more simple I could make it. Okay? Laser tag with a lightsaber, not really that dazzling, especially if you don't have the floating ball. There were no floating balls.
Yeah.
How do you not have the floating balls?
What's even sadder is that I feel like the Void VR experience I did for Star Wars had more of like a laser tag feel to it, because that was kind of like it had like a first person shooter vibe to it. Like even that, which I paid $30 to get into, feels more immersive than this on some
I don't
level.
want to just come down on this thing, man, but I was really, oh my god, we have lightsaber training. I mean, yes, it's a little gauche, and now we're cashing in on the Jedi Order and everything, but regardless, it's lightsabers. And what are we doing with the lightsabers? Point here and there.
Right,
and
yeah.
there. Go with the light. Doesn't matter if you don't get it. It's like, God, what are we doing?
So, yeah, I mean, suffice to say, obviously the marketing was like a big, I mean, I have never seen, in all my years of covering Disney Park stuff, like I've literally been following the Disney Park fan community since 2002. I have never seen such a backlash on anything.
It's been that bad, eh?
I mean, this thing is just embarrassing. Very much. Oh God, Dragon! I want Mr. Plinkett to review this thing.
You imagine if Chapek, in response to this, did like "You embarrassed me."
Oh God! Chapek just slowly becomes the kingpin.
Well, it's not that slow. I think he's already there. He just needs like.
I know, right?
Just give him like the Hawaiian shirt and everything. Make him that. Give him the hat too.
Oh my God, Beowulf, I totally agree. He says this whole thing would be better if it was a Disney Quest replacement instead of a 2-day LARP thing. Yeah, and I feel like the Disney Quest thing would be more what you're talking about, like the hangar with the different ships and everything.
Yeah. I mean, tell me, just again, at the most simplistic level, who wouldn't want to just explore the really cool ships in Star Wars?
Totally. I mean, I already feel like that's like the best part of the Millennium Falcon ride. The best part of the Millennium Falcon ride isn't the ride itself. It's the feeling of actually walking onto the Millennium Falcon, and like that brief time that you get to hang out in it.
Yeah, can you imagine if there were like a Boba Fett ride or like an interactive experience? You walk into the ship, you get in the chair, but you lie down in the chair, and then when the ride starts, it arcs up. You go vertical.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
Anyway,
there would also just be like oh God, I'm gonna mess it up, Dragon. The tanks, the Banta tanks,
Bacta tank.
I knew I was gonna mess that up.
You said tanks. I was like, wait, do you think like a like the firing tank? It's like no, a Bacta tank.
Yeah, there'd just be like a full spa of those, Dragon.
Now, seriously. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Like it's like the Lazarus Pit thing we always talk about.
Yeah.
Like you actually have like a basically a Bacta tank jacuzzi. You have like Darth.
That's
Vader's,
what I'm saying.
Bacta
I actually would be legitimately curious to try that.
You have like different styles of it too. You have like the Boba Fett one, which essentially is the one where you lay back, and then you have the Luke and Vader. They have like the spas, like a mud massage with like the Vader one. Yeah.
All right. I don't think I've ever been so hyped up for a spa before. That would be really cool.
That'd be really relaxing, though.
It would. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other marketing things you want to get to?
I mean, I don't really think we kind of talked about the worst of it. It's I think it's about it.
Okay. All right. So, episode 3, The Prophecy Fulfilled. So, Dragon, this is where I am going to get a little bit more positive, all right? Like, I know we're here poo-pooing this whole thing, and obviously, it is grossly overpriced. Overpriced to the point where it feels like a fucking Orwellian nightmare. But, from what I've seen and heard from the people, and this is important, this is an important distinction I want to make, all right? The people that actually take the time to fully engage with the LARPing elements. So not just people that are just coming on to, to take pictures and vlog and whatever, but people who are actually like engaging with this the way that it's meant to be engaged with Dragon, it's hard to tell if it's just like a classic like Disney shill sort of thing. It's still too early. Like, I'm sure that the honest opinions are going to be a little bit more in the middle. But fucking hell, man, as someone who is into the whole idea of LARPing in a theme park setting, some of this does seem pretty damn cool. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, Tiki, cool or not, it seems to be kind of a losing battle in the grand scheme, which is kind of what we're looking at here, in that it's basically...
You're not wrong, yeah.
Just the few things we have are cool, but not enough to, again, obviously not enough to necessitate the price point, but it's not, I don't think, enough to necessitate kind of like the Endeavor. But again, with kind of the inferior...
I would not be surprised at all if in a few years this thing became a one-day thing without the overnight part of it.
I mean, that would probably serve it better. I'm just saying, again, because...
I think so too, honestly.
Because of the faulty launch, I just think we have kind of problems that we're kind of stuck with, and it'll be forever before they get it sorted out. I mean, like the cool things we have right now... by the way, I heard this. I don't know if you heard this. Did you watch that clip I sent you?
The Kevin Smith one? Yeah.
Okay, so the bar is not free, which, I mean, they're going to pay $5,000.
Oh, I know. I'm well aware. I am well aware.
It's insane.
And I will say, as someone who was like very hyped for Oga's Cantina to the point of like, anticipating all the drinks, and then the drinks were like literally some of the most disappointing alcoholic beverages I've ever consumed. Yeah, Dragon, I'm just gonna straight up say it. I'm smuggling in some drugs. I am not relying on the alcohol here.
Oh, come on, that's
by smuggling in drugs, I mean weed. I don't mean like anything illegal.
I mean, still, it's a little unclean, though, man. Come on.
Pills, Dragon. There are clean synthetic weed pills that I do nowadays.
I mean, still. Anyway.
Well, it's pretty much what I do just in general for my trips. So I'm sorry.
All right, fine. Okay. Regardless, I mean, stuff like playing Sabak, it's like, what sounds like, from what I heard, like...
Okay, playing Sabak, to me, that's basically like the equivalent of cruise ship bingo.
Yeah, that sounds like the coolest.
It's like, yeah, it's something to pass the time, but I mean, is that really like, oh man, $5,000, let's get my Sabak on?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Right now, that's kind of all we have. Where, I mean, the Sabak sounds cool. I would like to... I don't know if they have this. I'd like to assume they have the hollow chest thing. I'd like to think. Probably don't.
I doubt they have it as cool as you're envisioning it.
I mean, yeah, regardless. It's just the fact that it's... I don't know. It's like, we're definitely not all the way there. I already kind of ranted about the whole lightsaber training thing, which, again, is like, well, where's just the plain laser tag, man?
So let's go through some of the experiences that I actually think do look cool, all right?
All right, what do you got?
As far as the arrival process goes, from what I've heard, it is rather unfortunate that you literally get driven right by the backside of Galaxy's Edge, so... Like, literally one of the first things you see as you're driving up to this place is like, the backside facades and show buildings of what you're going to be partaking in. And apparently when you drive up to the actual hotel, it's like, it's meant to look like, just like a spaceport and not the ship itself, but you can like clearly tell it's like, okay, like, this is obviously the building that this whole hotel is going to be in. It's,
yeah, it looks very like concrete. This screams Star Wars. Look at all that.
I mean, Dragon, to this day, I think the way that Disney does their haunted mansions, where you walk into that, fake exterior, and you just straight up cannot see the giant show building that is right behind it for the life of you. I mean, that is like straight up impressive placemaking, and they really should have accompanied some of that. Now, I will say, I do think that the arrival process, once you're actually there, seems like one of the coolest elements of this thing. The actual shuttle up to the Starcruiser itself. What do you think of that? How that looks?
You mean like the whole the elevator ride thing?
Yes.
I mean, that's really cool. Yeah.
Like that to me would put me in a mood. I definitely think that one of the more appealing things for me from what I've heard is when the elevator doors first open and you're just in this room and there's like all these characters out there and you can pretty much just free form mingle. And Dragon, that I think is super cool. I really do think that from what I have been hearing, and I am trying to keep like a somewhat optimistic mind about this, in spite of the fact that obviously the price point is ridiculous. Like I said, if you engage with these characters, if you invent a backstory for yourself, for example, if you create a character for yourself, if you actually LARP, then there's a very good chance that you will be more involved directly in the story that is taking place, to the point where, it actually seems like if you're someone like me who would get hyper fixated on it, you'd have a pretty good chance of like being in the finale or something like that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that to me, like it is work for sure, but it is tantalizing, man. I'm not going to lie. It is tantalizing. Because that was one of the things I really wanted more out of from Galaxy's Edge. I do know that one of the fun things that I like to do with Galaxy's Edge is I kind of, when I'm in there, I kind of like to more play the First Order side of things, where it's like, if someone asks me the location of the Rebel base, for example, I might just straight up tell them, like just give it away. I don't know, because I just like the idea of being bad, And so
It's
I
not
feel
really
like
being bad. That's being spineless.
What?
It's not really being bad. It's being spineless. Like, don't kill me. I'll tell you where it is.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. I don't know. I just like going against the grain. It's like in Rise of the Resistance, you're clearly instructed to not give away the location of the base. I want to give away the location of the base.
So basically, we can't trust you at all with any pertinent information in the
Pretty
Star
much,
Wars
yeah.
capacity. It's like, no, he's the first guy who's going to be the rebel spy. Not the rebel spy, the other guy.
Yeah, the opposite of the rebels.
So you're the guy next to the rebel spy. It's like, it's him! It's him! This guy, not us! Take him! You're that guy.
You get what I'm saying, though? Like, just having all these characters just out in the open like that, I do agree that some of them do give off a little bit of a Holdo vibe, and that is unfortunate. But there are some really cool creature designs here. In the fact that you can get so up close with them, interact with them, touch them, talk to them, have full conversations with them. And I am sure that all these performers are like professionals and they put their heart and soul into what they're doing. Yeah, Dragon, that's where the value for me comes into play. And I say value with the biggest air quotes in the world, but that to me is kind of like the once in a lifetime sort of like, if I'm having a fear of missing out on anything in this regard, it is just the potential to literally just walk in there and craft my own Star Wars story, which I do think is there in theory for those who really want to engage with that side of things.
I mean, ultimately, that's all fine and dandy, and I get that, especially in concept. But ultimately, I don't know. It feels like taking a step back. It just seems like it's kind of settling for Star Wars than it is like if you're going to go there, you're going to be fully immersed. I'm all for that, man. I'm all for, okay, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to mingle. I'm going to craft the story and the backstory. It's like I'm doing all that. But for basically kind of the blank slate of Star Wars going forward, is like, well, there's not really any history there. And it's like, well, I kind of like the history, though. I kind of like being in there. Again, I know it's a thing you can't really change per se, but it feels like if you're going to spend all that money to basically settle for kind of like an era of Star Wars, you can't really pick an era of Star Wars. That's kind of what it feels like,
Uh-huh.
I wish people kind of somehow had an option to pick, or if they have like a themed day, which, hey, maybe if you booked your dates on this day, you're in the prequels. You booked your dates on this day, you're in the Mando time.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, that's what I'm saying. If you could pick, I think that would solve a lot of the, basically a lot of the, the whole LARPing RPG kind of elements for me there. Like, you can pick your era of Star Wars. Like, the kids, I imagine, would pick the era as presented before us now. You have the OG ones are going to pick that.
The more I think about it, the more I really do think that there's no good reason why this can't just be like a day thing where you show up in the morning and it ends at like midnight, and you could still do a lot of shit. You could still have the excursion to Batu, Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like on day one, there's a lot of like, the thing that really does not appeal to me is the stuff like Sabak and, you know, and
I
the
would like to
lightsaber
learn how to
training and
play.
stuff like that.
I'd like to learn how to play Sabacc. Wouldn't that be? See, that'd be a reason. That's not $5,000 reason to go. But it'd be a reason to go.
Greg, you can literally buy Sabacc sets in Galaxy's Edge.
You can.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Regardless, I'm just saying I'm trying to.
It's literally like that's what blows my mind about the emphasis on Sabacc. It's like, oh, learn how to play Sabacc, and I'm like, there's nothing stopping me.
All right,
from learning
fine.
How to play Sabacc now?
Fine. Why don't we take this and put in Oga's Cantina?
I think the reason you can't do that is because Oga's Cantina is a freaking tiny space.
See, that's what I'm saying. Why can't we just expand Galaxy's Edge instead of just jamming the remnants into basically a Star Trek attraction?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, okay, this is Star Trek except for this part.
You know, one thing I will give them credit for as far as the actual feeling of Star Wars goes, Dragon. And this is one thing I am surprised by, given how little emphasis on music there is in Galaxy's Edge. It seems like there's a ton of music here, at least. It seems like the John Williams score is very present, which to me, which to me would give me a Star Wars. Dragon, I honestly feel like this place probably has more of a Star Wars vibe when you're there in person experiencing it, if that makes sense.
I like to imagine so, yeah, but again, it's mainly because they're pumping in the music, and you have an astromech every turn.
Right,
so
right,
yeah. Okay, it's Star Wars. Like if you're thinking, man, if they played some jazz here, it'd be the Orville. But no, it's it'd be really swanky and loungy, or if we were all wearing red and black uniforms, it'd be the Enterprise.
All right. Is there any other activities that tantalize you on any level?
Oh, again, the only cool thing I really saw in this whole thing for me, again, outside of the Sabacc, which again apparently you can just buy a box set of and learn it, would be. I'm just saying in general, I'd like to learn Sabacc. I don't necessarily need it here. I'm just saying in general, it's really cool. Like you get to play at a Sabacc table and probably learn it again. That's like saying I walked away from the Star Wars.
Okay, another asterisk to the Sabacc thing though is that the tournaments just take place in the standard dining room. Like there's no Sabacc room. It's just the standard dining room, and apparently the standard dining room is like the least immersive room in the whole ship.
By the way, hey Tiki, where do you play Sabacc?
I don't know.
In the Sabacc room.
God. Wow. Hope you're proud of that one.
No good?
All right. Anyways.
All right, no good. Anyway. So
the exercise / activity that I have heard good reviews of is the bridge training, which involves the jumps to light speed. And you know what? Okay, you know what one of the coolest things about this whole hotel is, just in general, Dragon, for me personally?
What?
The fact that all the rooms have the windows looking out into space, and from what I hear, the actual technology for that is not great, but how it times out to what's happening on the ship in any given moment is super impressive. So if it's during the when the First Order takes over on the second night, you're going to have TIE fighters outside that window. When the ship jumps to light speed during the bridge training, you'll see the light speed jump in those windows. I think that's cool. I think that's a cool way to have the story be super all-encompassing.
Yeah.
Not $5,000 worth of all-encompassing, but
of course not.
In theory, I do think that would go a long way to kind of playing with your imagination and really feeling like you're there.
I mean, again, honestly, on the whole, with just the role play element for me, just in general, getting to the best part of it for me is, again, the role play is a good sell, but again, until the last day, it just feels a little hollow because I think it's missing kind of the drama and the romance of just kind of being in Star Wars until the very end, where oh god, it's like, Kylo Ren is fighting Rey, and Chewie shows up to shoot Kylo Ren for killing his buddy. And I gotta tell you, how amazing is it when Rey lights that lightsaber, man, in real time? It's like that's not a fake lightsaber.
The whole finale does look great. I mean, it's, again, we keep having to say this, take a shot for every time we say this, but not worth $5,000.
A shot that you have to pay for outside of the $5,000.
Right.
But I mean, that's the thing. That's the coolest part, and even that, the writing's not great, but the action is wonderful.
I love
really
the Phantom
preachy,
of the Opera style chandelier.
Me. What?
The Phantom of the Opera style chandelier.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Now let's talk about the thing that I've always been the most skeptical about, and it really does seem to be the kind of like the chink in the armor here, which is the excursion to Batuu. Dragon, from what I have heard from people, like even the people that really love this thing, the excursion to Batuu more hurts the experience than helps it, because it pulls you out of being in this like all-encompassing theme space into like, okay, like, yeah, this is Star Wars, but we're in a theme park. If I really wanted to, I could slip over and watch Muppet Vision anytime I wanted to. You know what I mean? It's like there is a disconnect there. There is a natural disconnect that happens when you go from this super immersive theme space that you literally can't see the outside world in to, okay, we're in Batuu, but I can see Tower of Terror off in the distance. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, yeah, it kind of feels, it's looking at it, just seems like exhausting, like to get out of there and just go between parks. Just seems like you would just kind of want to stay there. And
I feel like the transport is also the cheapest thing that, like, they cheaped out on that transport hardcore. They could have at least had a droid in there, Dragon.
That they could have, yes, that they could have.
I mean, it's like, it literally just looks like a truck bed that they put some lights in to simulate movement. That's literally what it looks like.
Yeah, not even like a land speeder or anything. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really bad from what I can tell. So yeah, and you know what the really shitty thing is that from people that I've heard, like, this is not, it's barely even worth going to. But big asterisks here. If you really want to go all in with the LARPing elements, there's definite story points that happen on Batuu that you need to do. So it's not like you can just skip it if you really want to get the full experience. And I don't know, Drake. At this point, it's like I have done Batuu enough to the point where it's like I'm good. You know. It's like I am one of the people on the internet. This is a super unpopular opinion that I have, but I think Rise of the Resistance is a little overhyped personally. I don't think it's nearly on the same level as like an all-time Disney classic, like a Pirates or a Haunted Mansion or, even an Indiana Jones Adventure or something. I think it's a fun ride, and I think technologically it is very impressive. But I feel like it's getting overhyped specifically just because it has all those different moving parts in the ride system. My issue with Rise of the Resistance is that, like, it's really cool sets, but there's very little actual detail there. Because it's just, I don't know. It feels like a very sterile experience, Dragon, even when you're in it, to me. I don't know. Rise of the Resistance, like, it's always been I've always been a little bit of arm's length with it ever since I actually wrote it.
Yeah, I guess I remember before you wrote it, you were very glowing about it. So I guess that's, yeah.
It's super unpopular opinion. I'm aware that it's a super unpopular opinion. A lot of people think it's the best Disney ride ever, but I just cannot go there with it. I would rather have a Pirates or a Haunted Mansion any day over Rise of the Resistance. But anyways, I would, even something like Tower of Terror, I don't know. There's a lot of attractions, frankly, that I would put over Rise of the Resistance, as good as it is. Honestly, I'm more intrigued by how they incorporate Smuggler's Run into the experience. I don't know the exact story details, but I've heard that Calaxium is like a big part of the plot as far as as far as like why you're on Batu to begin with. So I imagine how you do on basically Dragon. The selling point for me to actually go to Batu would be to essentially have like, well, I can actually get the experience that I was promised back in the day where, my performance on the Millennium Falcon ride actually affects my status on some sort of RPG level, which was honestly like one of the things that was like first hyped up with the LARPing elements of Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, and like I said, it bothers my OCD way more than it should that A, there's no way to monitor people going in and out of the land, and B, that you would even have to monitor that to begin with. Like, I don't know, Drake, to tell you the truth, if I were doing this thing, I would be very tempted to just go into Hollywood Studios proper and just write some stuff. And that would obviously take you out of the experience, but I still think it'd be like, okay, like, I honestly think that the Galaxy's Edge attractions in Rise of the Resistance, the Galaxy's Edge attractions in Rise of the Resistance, the Galaxy's Edge attractions in Hollywood Studios, honestly, when you break it down, like, they are not the best attractions in that park. Like, I know you got Rise of the Resistance, sure. But, like, I would rather do stuff like Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster and even Runaway Railway I'm a big fan of. I honestly prefer Runaway Railway over Rise of the Resistance just because I think that ride's a bit more kinetic than Rise is. We're probably losing subscribers here with all this talk of Rise of the Resistance not being a masterpiece. But I digress. So yeah, what do you think of the dining, Dragon?
I don't really know much about the dining. I saw the tables and chairs. I didn't really see what.
So night one is the Gaia experience.
I saw the performance. I didn't see the food.
Which obviously, I think you and I both agree. It's like in theory, an alien concert would be super cool. But the fact that she's singing in English, it really comes off as something that would be in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Well, to be fair, I think what I saw, I think she's actually singing alien songs in the thing just to promote this. The promo was English.
Okay, that's cool then. That's cool. I can way more get behind the singing in an alien language thing.
Yeah.
Just because it really would feel more like, all right, like I'm actually in Star Wars now,
Yeah.
Dragon, did you know that there's a captain's table that you can get?
Oh God! Wait.
This to me might be the most hilariously like unnecessary thing in the whole Starcruiser is this captain's table.
All right, so you mean to tell me? So if I'm on this, like, captain's table traditionally means you get to sit with the captain. That's the big fan. Like, the captain usually has a big fancy table. You get to sit with him, probably commiserate. Like, I got to sit with the captain. The guy with the fancy shoulder pads. Usually that's how that goes. Now you're telling me that you get to sit with basically the blue lady.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Then you're paying extra for that. And
not even the whole meal, apparently, for like 15 or 20 minutes.
It's not even like breakfast with Vader or anything. It's like breakfast with Mickey or breakfast with Vader. It's like there's nothing. And
there. She tells you stories and tells you about the background of the dishes that you're eating.
So this is all bad then.
And from what I can tell, Dragon, the food itself is wildly mediocre.
I'm sorry, want to try that again?
The food itself is wildly mediocre.
That's better.
Blue shrimp. That's all I can say.
Okay, you know what?
Just let that sink in. Blue shrimp.
That's it. I'm out. They abused the blue pun. Dear God. You mean to tell me we got blue? It's not even a milk. It's not even a liquid.
You know the one thing about the dining that's like halfway appealing is the fact that they have self-serve blue milk fountains.
I did see something. The one food thing I did see, that was really cool. The soda fountain they have the sodas written in alien language and below it, in the translation, but they still have them written in alien language. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, okay, it would have been macabre, but at least what you should have done is go with I'm blanking on Admiral Akbar's species right now, but that would have been your lobster.
The Mon Calamari.
Mon Calamari, thank you. The Mon Calamari, it would have been macabre, but it's something like that. Don't just give me random.
Oh no, I don't want them to do that. Hold on, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that's a very bad macabre example, but I'm saying like an actual.
I don't want to eat Admiral Akbar.
Can you imagine? I'm just saying, just the disaster this thing kind of is in places. Can you imagine if that was what they did? They served you Mon Calamari, just how twisted that would be.
Oh,
God, what they should serve you the chowder from Mando, and it should be the little thing that jumps out at you.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so that doesn't sound good at all.
All right, and then night 2 actually sounds a little bit better, just because they have dishes that are inspired by different planets, and it's kind of like a one of those culinary world tour type things.
Here's a better idea. Maybe instead of sampling the food to different worlds, perhaps we make the rooms themed to different rooms. Different worlds.
I mean, in theory, that's a cool idea. I just think the only problem with that is it kind of break the all-encompassing immersion that they're trying to go for.
I mean, yeah, I think they could use all the help they need on this, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's it's so hard for me, Dragon, because it's I feel literally everything about this is ill-advised except for the actual LARPing elements. And that's where I am so stuck on this thing. I can't be completely negative on it. As much as I want to be, as much as I think the price point is ridiculous, and as much as I think some of the stuff is underwhelming, the actual LARPing side of things I have seen really, and this is why I call this this whole segment of this podcast, episode 3, the prophecy fulfilled, is that at the end of the day, we are getting what we were promised with Galaxy's Edge, just at a ridiculous price point and having to bend over backwards for it. So,
I mean, I guess just kind of in closing for me, and just on the thing really, is that without, I'm just going to kind of circle back on my points here. I don't want you to be repetitive. Just to circle back here. I think ultimately it's this, again, it feels like Disney just has dug a multi-million dollar, probably $1 billion, to be honest, a multi-million-dollar hole, because again, they didn't see stuff like the trajectory of Star Wars.
There's no way this thing lasts in its current form for long. There's no way.
I'm saying, it just feels like, well, we dug up the land for the sequel trilogy and we're kind of stuck with it now. And without classic Star Wars, it's even if they do the selective day thing, which I think would be probably the best.
I think that's a really good idea.
So without classic Star Wars, again, ultimately, just looking at this thing from a POV, kind of videos and stuff, it just seems like kind of a lounging Star Trek experience, in Vegas, with a really good Star Wars show at the end.
I'm sorry, but yeah, this does very much have a Vegas vibe to it.
I mean, it feels like, in regards to the interactive element, I kind of want to see, I think you could have had Hondo or the Bad Batch or Mando on missions crashing the crew.
Totally, yeah, totally.
You could shoot.
Again, that's a big reason why this really should have been set in the Mando timeline.
Again, I'm throwing you could shoot at stormtroopers in a laser tag game. There's stuff. There's things you could do. I mean, ultimately, it all feels a bit too much, and it's an expensive and unnecessary add-on to Galaxy's Edge. But I mean, looking at this, it makes me just kind of think, perhaps, even at the risk of losing I get the appeal of the immersive thing and the whole, the role play element of you want the whole thing to be a very homogenous experience, as if you want to be on the Starcruiser, because you want to feel like you're walking through the halls of stars, which I get. I really like that. But the problem is, ultimately, I'm walking out, it's I would accept the downgrade to just give me what I want, essentially. Okay, Cantina, give me a casino arcade which has the holographic chess and the sabacc and maybe some games. Give me blue milkshakes, man. Give me a really nice
blue
hotel.
Milkshakes. Why is that not a thing? Oh,
this is what I'm saying. Give me a nice hotel with give me wings and rooms you would go to a fancy casino hotel. Give me the Death Star section where you walk down the hallway.
Bite Casino.
Sure, but you see what I'm saying?
Just
Like,
a
you have like
straight up casino dragon gambling and all. No, I'm just
but even
kidding.
you see what I'm saying, though, right? Even
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
risk
I
of
see
like
what you're
losing
saying.
the homogenization, is like you can go to like this side of the place, which is like, okay, this is the Death Star wings, or it looks like you're walking on the Death Star. It's the Imperial kind of size stars, and this side's like the Millennium Falcon, and maybe this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're on you're in like kind of the.
I mean, like I
You're
said,
on,
would break the all-encompassing immersion
yeah,
that they're going for, but yeah,
you
I
give you
hear
what
you.
you want.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, again, it's a little.
I honestly think your idea of the different timelines would be a good kind of like meeting in the middle.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that's
it's like
what
you could still have the all-encompassing environment. I think this ship could theoretically work in any timeline.
Yeah, it's like either give me Star Wars all over versus what we have here, which to me just feels like a tease. Don't give me a tease of Star Wars. Give me Star Wars, darn it.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's where I'm at on it.
All right. Well, folks, big thanks to Beowulf for joining us in the comments. That guy also popped up for a couple of comments as well.
That
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let's see. So Dragon Turning Red is dropping this week. So we're going to have a couple podcasts building up to that. Well, one podcast building up to that, and then a spoiler cast. So yeah, look forward to that. We'll be doing some animated Batcave because the Batman's out. We're in a Batman mood. It's gonna be a fun week on the channel here. All right, y'all. Have a good night. And please, for the love of God, unless you are actually rich and can spare the money, don't spend $5,000 on this. Just don't do it. Like, spend $5,000 to literally go to Europe or something, for God's sakes. All right, have a good night, everyone.
I lost $5,000 a game of Sabacc and the Falcon.